How often do we stop to consider the reality of global poverty? It's not just about numbers or statistics, but about real people living real lives. In our world today, there are 10 countries that, unfortunately, hold a title no one would want: the poorest countries in the world. These countries, as determined by the gross domestic product (GDP) per capita, struggle with a multitude of challenges that go beyond just a lack of money. Burundi, located in East Africa, holds the unenviable position of being the poorest country in the world. With a GDP per capita of less than $200, the majority of the population lives on less than $1 a day. In recent years, Burundi has faced political unrest and violence, further exacerbating the economic challenges faced by its people. Despite these hardships, the Burundian population remains resilient and hopeful for a better future. The beautiful landscapes of Burundi, including its stunning mountains and picturesque lakes, stand in stark contrast to the harsh realities of poverty and struggle faced by its inhabitants. In South Sudan, more than half of the population lives below the poverty line. The country's ongoing conflict and instability have only served to exacerbate the situation, leading to a GDP per capita of just $238. Malawi, another African nation, is also on this list. Despite being known as the warm heart of Africa, the country grapples with extreme poverty, with a GDP per capita of $350. Mozambique, despite its rich natural resources, has a GDP per capita of only $425. The country continues to struggle with high rates of illiteracy and disease. The Democratic Republic of Congo, with a wealth of natural resources, has a GDP per capita of less than $500. Ongoing conflict and political instability have hindered any substantial economic progress. Afghanistan, despite receiving billions in aid over the years, remains one of the poorest countries globally. With a GDP per capita of less than $600, the majority of Afghans live below the poverty line. In Haiti, the poorest country in the Americas, over half the population lives under the international extreme poverty line. The country's GDP per capita stands at just over $700. Liberia, a country founded by freed African American and Caribbean slaves, has a GDP per capita of less than $800. Decades of civil war have left the country's economy in ruins. In Niger, despite some recent economic growth, the GDP per capita is less than $900. The country continues to face numerous challenges, including food insecurity and a lack of infrastructure. Finally, in Madagascar, despite its unique biodiversity, over 70% of the population lives in poverty. The country's GDP per capita is less than $1,000. These statistics may seem overwhelming, but remember, they represent real people living in these countries. It's easy to get lost in the numbers, but behind every statistic, there's a human story. So what can we do to help? Knowledge is power. By educating ourselves and others about the realities of global poverty, we can start to make a difference. Donate to charities that work in these countries. Every dollar can make a difference. Advocate for policies that promote economic growth and stability in these countries. Write to your representatives. Use your voice to raise awareness. Remember, change starts with a single step. It starts with you. Don't just stand by and watch. Take action. Make a difference. Together, we can help to end global poverty.